Welcome back. You're watching All About Ads on NDTVProfit. Now, John Abraham, we know as a producer, actor, former model, but what many of us weren't aware of was that he is a former media planner. Now, how that's really translated into how he's positioned himself is what we'll be talking to him. He's, of course, recently become brand endorser for Philips. So have a look at that before we catch up with him. John, pleasure having you on All About Ads. You're a brand endorser. Besides being an actor, former model, you're also a producer. But what not very many people know is that you actually started your career being a media planner.
Yeah.
Yeah? With Enterprise Nexus, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that later. But let's talk about this male grooming industry. You are now endorsing Philips. So just very quickly, tell us a little bit about what made you pick this.
Well, I picked this brand and I picked this product because I use this product, and I used to use a Philips Norelco product. A lot of people ask me why my facial hair is maintained at a certain length all the time. And I said, listen, I've got a magical instrument in my hand, and that's a trimmer that I can adjust to a certain level, and I, maintain my facial hair at that level. So when Philips approached me to endorse this product, I was very excited because I said, hey, here's a product that I looked around at every airport in the world to buy, and thankfully it's available at my doorstep, and that's why I'm here sitting in front of you.
Okay. Now, you've sort of become the poster boy for male grooming, because we do see advertising, whether it's Garnier, whether it's, you've made it trendy to almost all Indian men.
Men were, as cliche as it may sound, to a large extent very chauvinistic, and the way they used to approach a lot of things way in the past. Today men are far more accepting, far more linear, and it's easier, trust me, it's easier to convince a male consumer than a woman to a large extent. And male products, which I thought at there was a point of time, probably in my life, I said, hey, listen, doing a manicure and pedicure is an effeminate thing, is a feminine thing. But today, men have understood that grooming is a very important part of lifestyle. Grooming is a very important way of life. And if you really don't groom yourself, you're never going to be part of a social spectrum. And if you've got grooming capabilities and technology right at your doorstep, then so might as well use it.
Talking about brands and the fact that you're endorsing something like this, let me get back to what we brought up. The fact that you began your career being a media planner, how much of that experience has really shaped how you pick the brands that you do, how you position yourself?
Being a media planner has helped me completely. I select my brands because of the advertising background that I've got. I am a bike lover, for example. I'm a fitness person. I love football. So I decided the day I became an actor, consciously or even subconsciously, that I want to position myself in the mind of my consumer as a biker. So I did Dhoom. I wanted to position myself in the mind of my consumer as a football player. So I did Goal. I wanted to position myself in the mind of my consumer as a fitness person. So I did Dostana, or Jism for that matter of fact. And every film that I've done has an element of body. And this, somewhere down the line, has seeped down into the bloodstream of my target group, or the general audience who don't even watch my films. That John Abraham stands for fitness. John Abraham stands for bikes or motorcycles. And John Abraham stands for football. He loves football and he can play the game well. I got this across. So similarly for brands, I endorse brands that I believe complement me in terms of my brand positioning in the mind of my consumer. So whereas there is an X and a Y axis which you have on your SECs, on your socioeconomic class, I also think on a three-dimensional way. So there is also a Z axis which I try and get a three-dimensional effect to the way John Abraham needs to be presented to his audience. It cannot just be a flat image of John Abraham. It has to be an all-round image. That all-round image comes because you have your two-dimensional image through your films. Your advertising has to provide that third dimension. So your advertising complements your films, and your films complement the brands you endorse, which is why I endorse a motorcycle brand, a motor oil brand.
Because it's my bike. New Castrol Power One with power release formula.
I'm a bohemian, I'm a traveler, so there'll be a traveling brand of bags, suitcases, और भागते हुए तो और भी अच्छा लगता है.
He's right. We should get one.
Style बड़े काम की चीज है. Sky bags. I love wildlife, so I endorse a wildlife channel today. I love, you name it. I love grooming, so I endorse 2 grooming brands today.
Baki chodo. Just believe what you see. New Guardian MPower Light. Take care.
So everything is associated with my mindset and the way I want to be positioned in the mind of the consumer.
It's incredible to hear you talking almost in third person about who this John Abraham should be.
But I think that's important because when I look at myself and I look at myself from the outside, I really dissociate myself from John Abraham, the actor. And I treat myself as a separate entity and I say, how am I to market this brand? This brand exists for me. How do I go ahead and market this brand? What are the USPs of this brand? What are the strong points? What needs to be upped in this brand? So I just look at it completely as a consumer, as an advertising person, as a film producer, as a film director, and as an audience.
So in all this, you need to be packaged. Now, I want to talk a little bit about celebrity management. You've been signed on by, if I'm not mistaken, Madison, right,
Yep.
for 3 years. Is it as organized as it appears to be?
Let me explain to you. Sam Balsara is a hero for me in a lot more ways than one. And I think I'm a person who's grown up on certain heroes. And I was just very excited, to be sitting with Sam Balsara in his office while he's talking. So I'm one of those guys who's like a child in a candy store. When I came for your awards, I had Kumar Mangalam Birla on one side and Anand Mahindra on one side. And for me, that was very special, So the reason why I'm at Madison to a large extent is Sam Balsara. Is celebrity management organized, to answer your question? We've still got a long way to go. But that's the system as a whole. You can't. I think Madison, to a large extent, the vertical that handles my work is called MATES,
Yes.
Madison Advertising Team Entertainment Services. But I think they're pretty organized because they come from a large structure. A lot of the celebrity management people around are brokers, and they behave like brokers. And it's unfortunate, but now you don't know whether the chicken came first or the egg came first. In India, there's a certain way of approaching certain brand managers. In India, there's a certain way of approaching certain producers. Now we've kind of inculcated a system where we approach them in a very callous manner, to put it down to a very layman, if I need to pinpoint it. And what we see is, we see brand managers or celebrity managers sitting next to us, recommending, me being a producer, recommending a certain actor or an actress for a certain brand, and when that doesn't work out, they say, then why don't you take this one? So there's no sense of commitment to even certain people, to the talent they have. And I'm not speaking across the board, but it's the same across everywhere. I don't mean to sound condescending. I think we've got very able managers, we've got very able celebrity management outfits, but within our scheme of things, they work well. You put them out in the world, I don't know how they're going to survive.
Is that something that your own company you're planning to do, right? You want to start it as a vertical?
I would start it as a vertical, but I'd started as a vertical at a point of time where I think I'm capable enough of doing so. At this point of time, JA Entertainment is only one film old. I have a second film, Madras Cafe. Now, if Madras Cafe is not good